My name is Eleanor Voss, and I'm 73 years old. I don't know why I'm recording this. I've started it 3 times already. Once in the kitchen, once sitting by the window, and once I just sat here with the camera on and didn't say anything for about 4 minutes and then turned it off. But I keep coming back to it. Maybe because there's no one left who would sit still long enough to hear it. Maybe because saying it out loud, even to no one, feels like finally putting something down that I've been carrying without knowing I was carrying it. I want to talk about waiting. Not the kind where you sit in a doctor's office. Not the kind where you're expecting something good. The other kind. The kind where your whole life goes by, and somewhere in the back of it, quiet as anything, you were waiting. And you never knew what for. I grew up in a small house in Pennsylvania. Nothing remarkable about it. A mother who worked. A father who didn't say much. A sister who left at 17 and sent postcards for a while, and then didn't. We weren't unhappy. I want to be clear about that. I think that's part of what makes this hard to explain. We weren't unhappy. We just weren't present. Not really. There was always a sense that the real part of life was coming, that this, whatever this was right now, was just the before. I think I absorbed that the way children absorb everything, quietly, without knowing it was happening, and I carried it. I got married when I was 26. His name was Gerald. Jerry, I called him. He had a way of laughing at things that weren't quite funny that I found unbearable sometimes, and endearing other times. We had a good marriage. I believe that. I'm not revising history, but I remember maybe 3 months in lying in bed next to him and thinking, is this it? Not in a cruel way, not with disappointment exactly, just this quiet question that drifted through me and then left. I didn't examine it. I should have examined it, not because something was wrong with the marriage, but because the question itself was trying to tell me something about me, about whatever it was. I thought I was still waiting to feel. I let it drift past, and I waited. We had 2 children, a daughter, Miriam, and a son, Paul. I love them. I want to say that plainly, because what comes next might not sound like it, and it should. I love them completely. But I was not fully there when they were small. I was in the room. I made the lunches and I read the stories and I went to the school things. I was there in every way that could be measured, but there was a part of me that was still turned toward a door, waiting for something to arrive. I don't know what I thought it would be. A feeling, a moment, some shift in the quality of the air that would tell me, this is it. This is the part. You can stop bracing now. It never came. Or maybe it came so many times I wasn't paying attention. When Miriam was 9, there was an afternoon in August. We were in the backyard. She was chasing something. A butterfly, I think, or maybe just a shadow, the way children do. And she fell. Not badly, just tumbled into the grass. And she laughed. That big, full laugh she had then. I was standing at the back door. I smiled, but I was also thinking about a phone call I needed to make, about something at work that hadn't resolved, about what we were having for dinner. I was there. I was watching, but I was half somewhere else, half still waiting. That afternoon is one of the ones I come back to now, not because anything terrible happened, but because she was so completely alive in that moment, in that grass, in that laugh. And I was at the door. Jerry died 11 years ago. A sudden thing. His heart. A Thursday in November. Nothing unusual about the day before it. I remember standing in the hospital hallway and thinking I should feel more after Jerry died. I did what I think most people do. I reorganized things. I cleaned the house more than it needed cleaning. I had the gutters replaced. I called people I hadn't spoken to in years. Not because I had anything to say, but because the silence in the house was a particular kind of silence I wasn't ready to be alone in yet. And then, slowly, without deciding to, I began to look back. Not obsessively, just the way you look out a window sometimes and don't realize you've been staring for 20 minutes. I started thinking about my mother. She was a quiet woman, capable, not cold, but contained. She had a way of being in a room that took up very little space. I adored her when I was small. Then I became a teenager and found her maddening. Then I became a mother myself and understood her a little. And then she got old, and I visited when I could, which was not as often as I told myself I intended to. She died at 81, in a facility, not at home. I was there at the end. I held her hand, but there was something I never asked her. It's a strange thing to say. We spoke for decades. We had hundreds of conversations. She knew my children, knew my marriage, knew the broad shape of my life. But I never asked her what she had wanted. For herself, just for herself. Not as a mother, not as a wife. What she had wanted when she was young and the world was still open. I don't know why I never asked. I think I assumed I knew. Or I assumed it didn't matter anymore. Or I was afraid the answer would make me sad. I never asked. And now I can't. And that's one of the silences I live with. There was a man before Jerry. His name was Daniel. I don't talk about him. There's nothing scandalous in it. We were 22, 23. We were young in the way that feels so permanent while it's happening. He was serious about things in a way that made me nervous then. He asked me once where I saw myself in 10 years, and I laughed it off. And he looked at me in a way I didn't understand until much later. He was asking because he wanted to know if I was going to be there. And I didn't have an answer. Not because I didn't care, but because I was still waiting to find out who I was going to be. I thought that was something that would simply happen, that I would arrive at myself. We ended quietly. No real fight. Just a drifting apart that I let happen because I think I believed something better or clearer was still ahead. Maybe it was. But I've thought about that look he gave me. He saw something I couldn't see yet. I want to talk about my daughter, Miriam. She's 46 now. She lives in Colorado with her husband and 2 boys. We talk on the phone. We see each other at Christmas and sometimes in the summer. We love each other. But there is a distance between us that I think I made, and I don't know exactly when. When she was in her 20s, she went through something difficult. I won't say what. It's hers, not mine to say. But she needed me in a way that I didn't fully meet. Not because I didn't try. I came. I called. I said the things you say. But I think she needed me to fall apart a little with her, to sit in it with her. And I couldn't do that. I stayed composed. I was helpful in the practical ways. And something in her, toward me, quietly closed. She's never said that. We've never spoken about it directly, but I feel it on the phone sometimes. In the half-second before she laughs at something I say, in how she describes her life to me, thoroughly, kindly, and from a certain distance. I was waiting to feel equipped enough to really be there for her. I don't know what I was waiting for. I'm 60. I'm 73. I keep doing that. Starting to say another number, some younger number, as if my body hasn't caught up to the calendar yet. 73. My knees tell me the truth about it every morning. The wah. I've been sitting here for a while before saying this part. There's a particular thing about getting old that no one quite prepares you for. It's not the body, though the body has its own ongoing commentary on the situation. It's not the loss of people, though that accumulates in ways that change the shape of the world around you. It's the arrival of irreversibility. You can feel it at a certain point, not like a door slamming, more like noticing for the first time that a door you always assumed was still there has actually been gone for years. My son Paul is 43. He became someone I'm proud of. He's steady in a way I wasn't at his age. He built something real, a life, a family, a self he seems to actually inhabit. We are close in the way of people who don't talk about the hard things. He was 16 when I once said something to him. I won't repeat it exactly. I can still feel the shape of it in my chest. Something dismissive, something that closed a conversation he was trying to open, something he wanted to tell me about himself. I don't remember what it was I said. I know I said it because I was distracted or tired or still inside my own head the way I was so often then. He never brought it back up, and I never asked. I have thought about that moment for 27 years. Not every day, but it's always there, the way certain things are always there. You walk through your own life, and sometimes you pass through a room where something happened, and the room still holds it. I want to say something about time, not in any grand way, just as I've experienced it. When you are young, time feels like weather, something outside you, something happening around you. Sometimes it moves slowly, sometimes fast, but it's always just there, like oxygen. You don't track it, and then one day you're standing in your kitchen, and you realize you are 73 years old, and the kitchen is quiet, and the kids are grown and gone, and Jerry has been dead for 11 years, and you are standing there, and the eggs are boiling, and you cannot account for where most of it went, not in a way that fits into a sentence. You were there. You were in all of it, and somehow you were also slightly elsewhere, waiting, and now here you are, and the elsewhere never arrived. I've been trying to understand what I was waiting for. I've had months to sit with that question, longer than months. I don't have a clean answer. I don't think there is one. But if I had to try, and I suppose that's why I'm recording this, I think I was waiting to feel certain that it was the right moment to be present, certain that I had enough to give, certain that I was enough, certain that the people I loved would still be there after the waiting was done. I was cautious with my own life in a way I mistook for wisdom. I was saving something. I'm not sure what. There's a neighbor I've had for 12 years. Her name is Ruth. She's 80, maybe 81. We wave to each other. We've had coffee twice, maybe 3 times. Last winter she fell on her front walk, and I didn't know for 2 days. When I found out, I stood at my window and I looked at her house, and I thought I should have known her better. I had 12 years to know her better. She's fine. She recovered. But something about it stopped me. How easy it is to live next to a life and never actually enter it. How I had done that with my neighbors, with my colleagues, with my own children sometimes. Waving from a distance, meaning to get closer. I think what I want to say, and I'm trying to say it without turning it into something it isn't. I think what I want to say is that I didn't know the ordinary days were the days. I thought they were the in-between, the hallway you walk through on the way to the actual room. And so I walked through them, present enough, functional, loving,